Your first day at work can make or break your reputation. Ideally, you want to walk into an office as confidently as possible so that you can impress your colleagues and managers from day one. How to make that happen? Let's talk about this in this video. I'm going to cover topics such as mindset, your body language, but also communication hacks and insider tips that people mostly overlook. Sounds interesting? Then let's start right away with section point number 1, your mindset before you walk into an office. Your first day, you can actually prepare. You can already prepare in your mindset because this will help you that when the day happens, certain things are already clear because you already replayed it in your head. But here's one important thing, even before you prepare yourself for the first day, you always remember that you were hired for a reason. So that whenever you have some nervousness coming in like, you tell that nervousness, go away. I want to focus on having a successful day. So this means, for example, you could use some affirmations. I'm going to do my best on the first day and it's the beginning of something amazing. Or you can visualize yourself at the end of the day, how you're just happy with yourself, with all the things that you've learned, and your colleagues or your manager coming to you and saying, thank you very much, welcome on board, and this seems to be a great start into your new career. Another thing that you can do the day before is a rehearsal. Of course, what do I mean? You have a look at the clothing that you're going to wear. And always think about what's the company everyday style. If it's business casual, you're going for lean, casual business style as well. Also, the day before, make sure that you sleep enough so that on the first day, you really have enough energy to really kickstart and rock the day. One thing I always like to use also are power poses. Don't know if you heard already about it, there's a so-called Superman pose. And whenever I think of that pose, I imagine myself standing in front of a new company in this pose, and I have a cape in the back, flying in the background. So I'm like a superwoman ready to rumble the day. So what is the most important here to take away from is the mindset is important, and so is confidence. How using affirmations or visualizing yourself in a successful moment and preparing yourself already puts you in a great mindset so that on the first day you're ready to rumble. Second point, the first impressions in the office. There are several things that are important. For example, your body language. Very helpful because a lot of times the verbal communication comes after the visual, the first impression. So what do you want to do? Of course, you want to smile. Maintain eye contact with your colleagues so that they can already see visually who you are and how you can help the company. Of course, when you have your handshake, do a firm handshake and always have open posture. So something like this, I would avoid because you look very close. Instead, keep your arms open and just listen openly. And of course, make sure that you arrive on time. It's better to come 10 to 15 minutes before instead of being on time or too late. Because if you come earlier, you have some time to take a deep breath and prepare yourself one more time before the whole thing starts. Point number 3, communication hacks. This is very important. Sometimes when we're nervous, we tend to talk a lot. Blah, 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 blah. What is important? Listen is way better than talking a lot because listening helps you understand what's the game, what is the dynamic, not the game, but how are the dynamics in the company, who interacts with whom, what are my different responsibilities, how can I help others, what's important to other people, just to give you an idea, what is the power of listening. And then especially whenever you talk to your colleagues and your manager, always ask questions because when you ask questions, you show that you're eager to learn more and curious to see, okay, how can I help? What's the biggest point that needs to be solved? Make sure that you learn the names quickly because if you already remember the names, it's much easier to connect with your colleagues. One trick I try to do when I'm getting to know new people, I make small sentences just to remember the names. So for example, Alex, he has an amber shirt. So then I remember Alex is the one with the amber shirt. And another thing that is very important, avoid oversharing or complaining. Because let's face it, You never want to hang out with somebody who just complains and blah, 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 talks like that all the time. You want to talk to somebody who really lifts you up, who puts you in a good mood so that you can continue your work. And also oversharing. Sometimes, maybe you met those people, you talk to them and you're like, this is too much. So just remember that when you do small talk with your colleagues and manager, think about that this is information that is small talk appropriate. Let's have a look at section number 4. Build credibility fast. How can you do that? You ask smart questions. For example, what's the best way? Instead of saying, I don't know. You see, when you ask questions, you show that you're eager to hear more. You show that you're interested in what's the current situation, what have been bottlenecks, for example, in the past, and to find solutions that will fix all of that. Also, how you can build credibility is take notes, because it shows that you're serious. It shows that you really want to learn, you want to memorize it, and later on have a look again to recap that you really understood everything. Of course, what's very important as well is when you take notes, look back at your notes before you ask the next question to your colleague or manager for clarification. And here's one thing I always like to say, volunteer for small tasks. Because those small tasks, they can help you build up your own brand, your own reputation within the company. If they know that you're always there to deliver times, even the seemingly small task, on time, in a correct way, and with some good ideas on top of it, people know, okay, we need to go to that person to get them done. And especially those small tasks, over time, they can really lead to some bigger opportunities. Then the next part, section number 5, is about social integration. So it means join co-workers for lunch or coffee. Just don't isolate yourself, because when you go for those moments, you have a chance to really connect with your colleagues and really have some good moments in terms of getting to know each other and understand a bit also, how do your co-workers work? What is important for them? What is less important for them? Because this can give you some good clues in terms of communicating with them efficiently. And this is very important. Avoid gossip in the office. Just stay neutral, because you don't want to have the reputation of somebody who maybe works good, but is always in for a good gossip. Because you want to shine with your great work that you do and the added value you bring to the company. So remember, stay out of office gossip, stay neutral, and really focus on connecting with your co-workers. And of course, one thing I haven't mentioned, but it's equally important, always remember to thank your colleagues or your manager for whatever thing they have done, because they dedicated their time to help you succeed in your responsibilities. So remember to thank people who help you out. Last but not least, is a so-called bonus tip. Because one thing people don't really usually do, but this can really help you, this small gesture can be very beneficial for you, is at the end of the first day, write a small thank you note to your manager to thank them for the first day, for the first week. And also share something interesting that you have learned, and of course that you're eager to continuously contribute to the team and to the company. All right, let me recap. On your first day at work, there are several aspects that are very important. Mostly, it's your mindset to already prepare yourself mentally that it's going to be an amazing day. And you just push out all the nervousness. They're not supposed to be there, all the anxiety. No, there's no space for you. You focus on the positive things that are going to happen that day. The next part is also that your first impression always matters. So be well dressed, arrive on time, 10 to 15 minutes before the start of the day. And then also, when talking to your colleagues or managers, always remember to thank them and always remain positive and never complain or stay out of gossip, because this you don't want to be associated with. And remember to write your thank you note to your manager. Then, let me know in the comments which point you found most interesting, and if you like those career tips, just subscribe to the channel or forward it to somebody who soon also has their first day at work. Then, speak to you soon. Bye!